Hey there everybody, just Marco here with another one for you. Today I'm at Corktown Common. I was not too far from here just recently shooting a video about the 10-18 Sigma f2.8. This time I'm here shooting a video about a firmware update for my Tamron 70-300. It's firmware version 2, finally. I've been waiting years for it. Apparently they've caught up with Sony's autofocus. Let's see how it goes.
I'm reinventing myself. I'm me and nobody else. Ooh, I can't help but smile.
So what is going on? I'm not wearing a hat. I decided to comb my hair. Well, it's a new day. It's a day where firmware updates work, apparently. Yeah, you could probably tell from those shots that I was able to track using the bird AF, the insect AF, the animal AF, the airplane AF. I did not track any trains, cars, or people, obviously, but the other tracking functions seem to work. So the update certainly did do something, because those things weren't working the same prior to the update. As finances permit, I was thinking, well, maybe I want to go with something newer. But now Tamron has sort of given this lens a new lease on life, both for people who own this lens and for future owners of this lens, I suppose. When you're talking about zooming out to 300, which is more like 500 if you're using this on an APS-C camera, this is a full frame lens. You have to be realistic, because regardless of how advanced the AF system is or how new the lens is, there's going to be some issues locking on. But with this firmware update, I can confirm that when you do lock on, it sticks like glue. Even that bird way up in the tree, at the top of that tree, I was shooting at 120 FPS, so that's around 500 mil on an APS-C camera, plus it crops in when you're shooting 120 on an A6700. And it was locked onto that bird's eye, and it was sort of in the shadows as well, too. Not very easy to pick out the eye on that bird, but it was doing it. It was locked on there. So pretty impressive, I thought. About shooting 120 FPS, by the way. I did a YouTube short regarding these cards. I was extolling the virtues of the Kingston Canvas React Plus cards. These are V90 cards. This is, of course, the 128 gig denomination. This specific card, the 128, has been giving people issues with the A6700. I haven't really had any issues with it, not that I can recall, with the FX30, but with this camera, when I want to shoot 120 FPS, sometimes it tells me that I need a card that's V60 or faster. That means it's not even recognizing it as a V60. This is a V90. You pay a premium for these. So I can't recommend these anymore, and I pulled that YouTube short, by the way. I keep a ProGrade V60 card. It's also a 128, but it's a V60. I keep that in my bag in case this V90 doesn't work when I'm trying to shoot at 120 with this camera. Kind of sad. To preface what I'm about to say, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. Tamron released this firmware update. I'm kind of wondering like why it's taken so long. It's been years now since Tamron has released a firmware update for this lens. Is it a coincidence that Tamron's released a firmware update within basically 2 weeks of their new 50-300, which has just come out a few days ago? The 50-300, of course, you are getting 20 more mil on the wide end, which is nice. It's a stabilized lens, so it's more expensive. It's also a little more than 100 grams heavier as well, but I think it's physically smaller. Either that or Christopher Frost has pretty big hands. I don't know, but it looks smaller than this lens. It does have a lock for the zoom. Oh wow, would I love a lock for this zoom. It's the only thing that really drives me nuts about this lens is when I've got this over my shoulder and I can feel the lens creeping like that, and then it starts bouncing against my body, you know? The stabilization, I mean, even shooting that bird at the top of that tree with the IBIS in the camera, no real problem there. So I can do without the stabilization. It would be nice to have, of course. So yeah, it is considerably more expensive, but of course, yeah, it is a little bit wider at the wide end and stabilized. You got the lock on there. Definitely a bit more premium a lens. Am I going to be holding on to this? Yes, I am. Some of you may know from other episodes, I've used this as a macro lens too, so I know it is very sharp. But like a lot of these lenses, just like the new lens, at the maximum zoom, it's not the sharpest at 300. If you back off to like 270, 280, you're gonna find it's a lot sharper. Just letting you know. I mean, I'm always shooting this out at 300 anyway. For my purposes, even shooting it all the way out at 300 is just fine. As usual, I hope you all got something out of this one. If so, consider leaving me a thumbs up. If not, that's okay too. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of these in the future, please consider subscribing. If you've got any ideas for future episodes, please leave that in the comments below. And until next time, keep working to make your chosen idea a reality. Peace.